Hey guys, TKC here, the Kaijudo channel. Welcome to another episode of Kaijudo News, and this is pretty much going to be a whole episode just to talk about the 21 cards that have been spoiled from the 5 Mystics. Yes, that's right, ever since last week, 21 total cards have been spoiled from this set. So now we know more than half the set, which is absolutely insane. And then a week or two from now, the whole set will probably be spoiled. So let's go ahead and start with none other than the Darkness Mystic and the Darkness Absolute Spell. Both of these cards were spoiled at the awesome Veil Breach that happened in California at 3J Sports Cards. That happened this weekend. Chris Dupuis was there, doing duels with the Klinger deck, using a lot of these Darkness cards, which is super cool. But let's go ahead and talk about the Mystic right now. Right here, the Mystic of Darkness. It's a level 6, despite what a lot of people were thinking. It was going to be like level 3 or level 8 or something like that. But no, it is a level 6. It's a Mystic, 4,000 power. It has the ability Contempt. Whenever you cast a Darkness spell, each enemy creature gets minus 2,000 power until the end of the turn. That is pretty dang awesome, and I watched the duels that Chris Dupuis did, and he used this, and then he comboed it with like the Absolute spell, which you will see later, or other cards like Bone Blades to give Bone Blades like pretty much like a suffocate effect on a Bone Blades, as long as you have that card on the field. So you can do a lot of, you know, crazy combos with your Darkness spells, turning them into suffocates at the same time as whatever else they're doing. And overall, this is probably the best Mystic out of all the 5. I think the Water one is pretty close, and the Fire one too. I like the Water one for being able to search, and this is just nice to give all of your Darkness cards suffocate. Really, really cool Mystic. So now let's go and talk about the Darkness Absolute spell, Absolute Darkness. So it's a level 9 spell. Each enemy creature gets minus 6,000 power until the end of turn and can't block this turn. You end up getting like a Squill Scourge effect at the same time as a mass wipe of 6,000 or less, or if you don't mass wipe them, you're still doing minus 6,000, so it makes Haven a lot weaker. It turns it into a 9,500 blocker, which is not too threatening, and even then, Haven can't block anyway, so it doesn't matter. A lot of people are saying that this is the best Absolute spell as well, and I think I can partially agree. It's pretty insane. I mean, you have 2 really powerful effects in one. It's potentially a huge mass wipe, and at the same time, they can't really do anything until their next turn because they just can't block. At least, with this card, they can still attack on their turn, which is kind of the downside of this card, since Squill is so much more powerful than that. But at least you don't have to get rid of your whole hand, and you just pretty much get rid of most of their creatures if they're playing a faster deck. So there we go, we know all the Mystics, we know all the Absolutes, and they are all absolutely awesome. So I'm really looking forward to playing these cards. So today's news update actually had quite a surprise, because we got a good, I think, 9 cards spoiled today, and half of them are corrupted cards. I guess we're gonna go ahead and start with the biggest corrupted creature that they spoiled today, and that is the last super rare that we've been missing, and that is Humongaru! So this is interesting because I was expecting this name to be called Sagurulon, but I'm guessing that was actually like a fan-given name to that kind of character fusion thing from the show. So his actual name is now Humongaru, which is pretty much the opposite. It's Humonculon mixed with Saguru, which is Ray's dad in the show, if you've watched that. So there's a lot of text on this card, so let's go ahead and get straight to it. It's a level 8, 8,000 power, light nature. Now hold your breath here, this is like really long race, but Corrupted Enforcer Megabug Human. This is the first card to have 4 races on it. Vicious Squill Scourge was the one that had 3 last time, but this one has 4, so Humongaru top Squill is there. It double breaks, and it has 2 abilities. One of them is Rampant Mutation. Whenever a card enters your mana zone, you tap target enemy creature, and this creature gets plus 3,000 power until the end of the turn. Then we also have Monstrous. While this creature has power 12,000 or more, it has Triple Breaker. So to start off with, it has Double Breaker, and then pretty much every time you ramp, it gets power. So you need to ramp twice to get the Triple Breaker status, and then you also tap 2 creatures, which is really cool. Now, if you have power-up boosting creatures on your side of the field, such as like Essence Elf, Tainted Quartz, or even Essence Shade, then you only have to do it once, and then boom, it's a Triple Breaker. A lot of people are saying that this combos really well with the other corrupted creatures in nature, which is Bronze Arm Renegade and Bad Apple, because those 2 pretty much give yourself a lot of mana. You know, your corrupted creatures get banished, boom, it turns into mana, and Humongaru triggers, you tap something, and it gets more power, and potentially Triple Breaker. I also think this is pretty nutty with Almighty Colossus, because you can play Humongaru in not even like a corrupted deck, because if you notice, this thing doesn't support any corrupted creatures. It's just a corrupted creature that's going to get supported by the other ones. And so you pretty much have this and Almighty Colossus on the field, and boom, it already has 12,000 power, and you turn your Humongaru successfully into a triple breaker just by playing Colossus. So overall, Humongaru, very, very impressive card. I think it has a ton of potential. So in addition to Humongaru, they also spoiled 3 other corrupted creatures in the set. Let's start with the first one here, Octobot Infiltrator. It's another mono water corrupted creature, which is nice because most of them are multi-civ, so it's nice to have some mono civ to help out the deck building a bit. So this one's a level 6, 4,000 power corrupted undertow engine, and has the ability Mind Link. Whenever this creature or one of your other corrupted creatures enters the battle zone, you may draw a card. So this is pretty awesome because now corrupted creatures have some sort of draw engine, like Nyx in Dragons. There's really not much else to it. It's simply just a 4,000 power thing that draws cards every time you play corrupted creatures, even this guy. So you draw a card just by playing him, and then every other corrupted, you draw even more cards. So this is probably one of the best corrupted creatures right now. The Seneschal Children's Lieutenant corrupted creature is also pretty good as well, because you draw cards every time you attack with a corrupted creature. So at least with this, you kind of, you know, have a choice of how you want to build your corrupted deck. Do you want to build it more tempo-y, where you're going to be attacking a bunch with your corrupted creatures, or if you want to like kind of hold back and do a final push, kind of like control or maybe even mid-range, this card is perfect because then you don't have to attack. You could just summon corrupted creatures left and right, and you're just going to draw cards. Even better, if you have Warbreaker Poseidon on the field, all your corrupted creatures cost less. So if you have that and you have Octobot Infiltrator on the field, the following turn you can pretty much just spam corrupteds and just draw cards left and right, and you know your field will be filled with corrupteds, your hand will be filled with cards, and that's probably a really good position to be in. Next, they revealed another monociv corrupted, and that is Captive Squill. Nothing too impressive, it's just a level 4 3000 Aquin, just like Trickster. It's a vanilla, but at least the Trickster is level 2, so I think personally this was not too impressive, but hey, it's a corrupted creature, so hey, more corrupted creatures to use in decks. And then lastly, they previewed another evolution creature for corrupted creatures, and that is Death Tongue Leech. It's a Water Darkness, level 5, 6000 power corrupted Rotworm evolution, so of course you could evolve on a corrupted creature or on a Rotworm. It has Double Breaker and Insatiable. Whenever this creature or one of your other corrupted creatures enters the battle zone, target enemy creature gets minus 2000 power until the end of the turn, including this one as well. So this card's pretty nice. I mean, I don't think it's as crazy as the Vicious Glow Scourge or Luminar Unleashed, but I still think it's a pretty cool effect nonetheless. I mean, minus 2000 is nothing to laugh at every time you play corrupted creatures. I mean, instead of drawing cards, you could just be banishing stuff on their side of the field, or, you know, just reducing power so that they can't block you efficiently or something like that. Overall, it's a nice option, and I think it's something that will be explored. I don't know how good it is. I think this is going to be one of those kind of underrated corrupted creatures that isn't really used too much, but I think it still has potential. Kind of like the Reviled and General Charizard. Those two have been used here and there, but they haven't kind of showed up in full force. And I think this is another corrupted evolution that's probably going to join the ranks down there with those creatures. But overall, a really cool card, and it gives corrupted creatures so many more options to use in their deck. Alright, next we have another cycle of spells in this set, and they talked about this last week. They said that Drew Nolasco is going to be previewing a cycle of Helix spells, so that's pretty nice. And well, guess what? They previewed it today, so Drew Nolasco decided to write up the article, and boom, here are the 5 Helix right here, boom. So the basic idea of these Helix cards is the fact that you get to choose 1 out of 2 abilities that kind of reflect what that civilization will do. So that's what's really nice about them. It's very versatile in that you don't have to stick to just one thing. You could say, oh, that's not really good for the situation, I'll just use the other one, which benefits me just as good. So let's go ahead and start in civilization order. Let's start with the light one, which is Solar Helix. You either choose to tap a target enemy creature and it doesn't untap at the start of your opponent's next turn, which is basically Blade Barrier, or all of your creatures get blocker until the start of your next turn. So that one's pretty neat. It's only a level 4. The other ones are level 6, except for Water, which is also level 4. So it's kind of normal that the level 4 ones aren't going to be as good as the other 3. So I think this one's, you know, not that great, but that's because of the low level. But still, it's kind of nice that, you know, you get rid of 1 creature from attacking you next turn, or you pretty much say that your whole field is just filled with blockers, and then you let them deal with it. So next we have the Water Helix spell, which is Neural Helix, also level 4, and you can either choose to draw 2 cards like Logo Scan, or you may choose choose one of your shields and put it into your hand, and then replace it with a card in your hand and put it face down as a shield, which is pretty much the Corral effect, the Cyberlord Corral. This one I'm not too impressed with either. I mean, if I wanted to use a Corral or a Logos effect, I would probably just be using those two cards. Considering it's level 4, it's not the best time to draw two cards because Keeper of Laws is usually out on the field by then, and that's kind of the whole point of Logo Scan, is you want to play it before they get Keeper of Laws out so you can draw two safely. And then the shields thing, I mean, I'd rather just use Corral for one less, because at one less I could actually have a body on the field to defend me from little weenies like Blaze Belcher or Cyberscam. So overall, I think Neural Helix is probably the one I'm least impressed with, but that's fine because the next 3 spells are absolutely awesome. So let's go to the Darkness one. This is Nightmare Helix, a level 6 Darkness spell. You either choose to banish a target untapped enemy creature just like Death Smoke, or you choose up to 2 creatures in your discard pile and return them to your hand. Now, the reason why I like this card is not because of the fact that Death Smoke costs 1 more, but the fact that choosing up to 2 creatures in your discard pile and returning them to your hand costs 2 less. See, there was a card in Rise called Nagaria the Collector, which did pretty much the same thing, and then you only get a 3000 power body, which could be relevant if you have Kalima on the field to boost it to a 7000. But, you know, there are times where you want to get those 2 creatures before turn 8, let's say. I think you have a lot more things to do on turn 8 than, you know, just bring back 2 creatures. So I think Helix is just nice to have as like a late game option for control. If you're getting through these grindy control matches, your discard pile is just going to continually be filled with creatures. So you can just go, oh, Nightmare Helix, either get rid of your Ramnoth on turn 6, or you could say, oh, okay, I have a lot of nasty creatures in my discard pile, let's go bring them back with Nightmare Helix, and you put them in your hand. So I think Nightmare Helix is really, really good. Not the best one in my opinion, but I would say in the top 3 for sure. Now moving on to the fire spell, we have Blaze Helix. This one is nice. It's a level 6, and you choose either to banish all enemy creatures that have blocker, just like Crimson Wyvern, or each of your creatures can attack untapped creatures this turn as though they were tapped, which is pretty much like Overcharge without the plus 1000 boost. Now, this one, in my opinion, is the best one out of the 5. Crimson Wyvern was pretty much the only creature to pretty much just wipe all blockers off of the field. Of course, there are ways to deal with it, like Cassiopeia Starboard or Stormspark to just tap them all. This is different. This is just like, no, get rid of all of them. I don't want to see them. And this is another card that deals with Eternal Haven, which is a huge problem in the format. It's just this big annoying thing. So having more answers to Haven is welcomed, of course, especially since it will be in the standard format as well, so it's nice to have. Since Crimson Wyvern is going to be gone, Blaze Helix is a nice replacement, and I think even with Crimson Wyvern in the meta, I would still prefer to use Blaze Helix, because at least Blaze Helix can happen 2 turns earlier, and if, you know, they don't have blockers, you can still go ahead and just wipe their board with the untapped creatures ability. So I think by far this is the best of the 5. Really, really impressed with it, and I'm excited to use it. Fire is getting a lot of nice cards, I noticed, so that's really cool. Now for nature, we have Verdant Helix. You either choose to put up to 2 cards from the top of your deck into your mana zone, just like Mana Storm, or you choose up to 2 creatures in your mana zone and return them to your hand. So this is really cool. So we have Mana Storm ability, which I think at level 6 is actually not that much of a big deal. I know with Mana Storm it was kind of key to go from 5 to 8 mana the next turn, so you can go into Skull Shatter. But at least with Verdant Helix, you can still get Andromeda turn 7, just as you would with Mana Storm. It still ramps 2 cards. Now on the other hand, I think the second ability is actually a little bit more relevant. It's the only other card besides Kivu to get back cards from your mana zone. Unfortunately, you're restricted to creatures here, but I don't think that's a huge problem. I think most of the time in control decks, you're going to be sticking your big creatures into your mana zone most often. So if you go into the late game, just like Nightmare Helix, you can cast Verdant Helix and get back your big monsters that are stuck in your mana zone, and then just play them the following turns. And you can just have this constant cycle of like big threats left and right. So if they get rid of them, you know, they're not gone forever. You still have ways to get them back through your mana and through your discard pile. So Verdant Helix is probably another really good one. I think it's also top 3. It's kind of tied with Nightmare Helix for me. So overall, these Helix spells are just really, really cool. So thank you, Drew, for previewing these. very excited to use these cards. And besides all of those kind of cards that are related with each other, we have 11 more cards that are kind of more, you know, alone, but they've all been previewed at some point in this past week, so let's go ahead and go through them all really quickly. So starting with light, we have Arcane Warden. It's a level 5, 5,500 power Skyforce champion. It has Blocker, Skirmisher, and Consult the Archives. Whenever this creature blocks, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a spell, put it into your hand. If it's not a spell, put it on the bottom of your deck. So this is pretty much Stormseeker from Dragon Strike Infernus, but it has Blocker, which I think is a little bit more relevant than not having Blocker and then just whiffing with your, you know, your ability to look for a spell. So I think Warden's really nice because you can reuse that ability and still have a relevant body, and more level 5 Skyforce champions are welcome because then you can evolve them into Ravu the Stormbringer and stuff like that. Combo with Starlight Strategist, you know, one of my favorite cards, of course. So yeah, new Skyforce champion. Sweet stuff. Now the next 3 cards actually don't have images, sadly, but apparently they're in the booklet of the new Duel Day deck, the 6th Duel Day deck with the awesome Lightfire Rush stuff in there. So let's go ahead and go through those really quickly. One of them is called Beacon Drone, and basically it's a Storm Patrol level 2, 1000 power creature, and when it gets banished, you choose one of your creatures and untap it. So it could be kind of used in, you know, Monolight Rushes or kind of fast decks like that, you know, and you attack with that after you attack with your other ones, and then if they deal with it for some reason, you get to untap one of your other creatures, and that's it. So I don't know, I guess it's kind of useful in Tempo or Rush or things like that, but I guess we'll have to find out. It is a Storm Patrol, so it's not too relevant. You know, if it was Enforcer, I think it would be really insane, but, you know, still a cool card. Next we have Luminous Shieldwing, another card we don't have a picture of. It's a level 2 Enforcer with Reconfigure. If this creature would be banished, put it into your shield zone face down as a new shield instead. So we don't know the power on this, but we do know that it's like X 500, so it's like either, you know, 1,500, 2,500, or something like that. My guess is 1,500. It just seems logical to me. It's pretty much like Flare Inhibitor, which was a level 5, 1,500 that had Blocker too. This one doesn't have Blocker, but it still goes into your shield face down. So I'm guessing it's like 1,500, and there you go. Another Enforcer that, you know, could be useful in Rush 2 because then you get more shields when it dies, and you don't really care too much. But I don't know. Interesting. More options, that's nice. And then lastly, of the no image cards, we have Restrain. It's a level 1 Shield Blast that taps a creature 4,000 or less. So it's pretty much like Sunshock, but a little bit more limited. But hey, it's more options. It's another Sunshock. Alright, back to cards that actually do have images. We have Hypergrid Hacker here, a level 2 1000 power Cyberlord, and it has Cybernetic Gateway. When this creature enters the battle zone, choose one of your creatures. If that creature would be banished this turn, return it to your hand instead. Woo! Awesome stuff. This is nice because it's a level 2 Cyberlord, which means you can play it on the field and then boom, you evolve it into Neuron next turn. What's even better about this is that it has like late game purposes as well. So it's not really useless in the late game. Like if you look at Scamp, it's really useful turn 2, and then after that it's not really too useful because at that point, you know, they're in your shields, they're in your mana zone or wherever, or you already used one or something like that. Whereas this is like, oh, I already have creatures on the field that are relevant, let me just play this and protect one of them. Because if it would be banished, it goes back to your hand, and then you just replay it next turn, and you just wreak havoc like that. I think this is going to be insane in like Neuron decks, basically, because you could evolve into Neuron, play the Hacker, protect your Neuron. If it gets banished, it goes back to your hand, and then you take the Neuron and you evolve it onto the Hacker over here. You can do crazy combos like that, and yeah, I think this is very underrated. I think it's going to be really awesome. Next, another card that was previewed at this Veil Breach was Terrifying Klinger, a level 6 4000 power blocker with Guard, and has Mind Clamp. When this creature enters the battle zone, your opponent chooses and discards a card. So it's basically a Fumes with Blocker, but it's level 6. It was also in the Kalima deck that Chris Dupuis piloted at the 3J Sports Cards Veil Breach. It's very interesting. I mean, with Kalima, it's an 8,000 power blocker, which is nothing to laugh at. It's pretty huge. Not sure. I mean, it's nice. You discard cards, so that's always nice. Another card that was in his deck was Vengeful Blast. It's a Darkness Shield Blast, level 5. You basically target an enemy creature, and it gets minus 4,000 power until the end of the turn. So this is nice, because it's basically Darkness's Tornado Flame in a way. It's not minus 5,000 power, luckily, because I think that would be a little bit too insane, but minus 4,000 is really, really nice. So with the Mystic of Darkness, you basically turn this into a minus 4,000 to one creature, and then minus 2,000 to everything, so that is pretty nasty. This is a common too, which is pretty impressive. I think it's going to be really cool in the set premiere because a lot of people are going to be pulling these in their packs because it's only a common. So I think this will be really, really fun at the set premiere. And, you know, overall, I think it's a really, really cool card, and I could definitely see it in Kalima as, like, another Shield Blast stat to the deck. Alright, 3 more to go. Going into Fire, we have Morkaz the Defiant. It's a level 7, 5,000 power Armor Dragon. It has powerful attack plus 5,000, so it turns into a 10,000 power creature when you attack with it. It has Double Breaker, and then has Burning Rage. If an opponent's spell or ability would cause you to discard this creature, you may put it into the battle zone instead. Alright, cool. So we have another Slumbering Titan-like ability in the game. That's really cool. So now we can have more options, I guess. If you want to protect yourself against discard, you can use both this, and you can use Slumbering Titan, and then you just have like a bunch of cards that, if they get discarded, boom, they pop into the field. So these are pretty much good answers to those heavy discard Kalima decks that are kind of annoying. I love the ability of, you know, just discarding and then they end up on the field instead. I think it's a really cool way to kind of like negate discard in a way. It's pretty nice. I think this has a lot of potential, and it's an armored dragon too, so I mean you could just hard cast it and it's just like this really big dragon when it attacks, so really cool stuff. Alright, 2 more to go. We have another nature card here. It's called Broodmother. It's a level 5 4000 power mega bug with protector and the ability Incubate. When this creature enters the battle zone, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, reveal any number of creatures from among them and put those creatures into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is pretty cool because this is kind of like a reinforce in a mega bug, and I think Megabug decks would like to use Reinforce because they don't really have much spells in the deck. They have a lot of creatures. However, if you use Water, you kind of don't need Reinforce because you already have things like Aqua Seneschal and Finbar to just draw you cards, and you even have Manatig, which draws you cards as well. But, I mean, it's nice that it's level 5 because then you can summon this off of Hive Queen, and you just kind of dig for more options. You dig for, you know, pretty much like General Finbar to follow up, dig for another Hive Queen to evolve on this. And then, even better yet, let's say you attack with your Hive Queen, and then you land into a Broodmother and you put it on the field, you pretty much protect your Hive Queen from getting banished by, you know, battle, because then you could just say, no, I protect the Hive Queen with my Broodmother, and it's safe. So, yeah, I think this card has a lot of potential as well, especially after the rotation kicks in, because we're going to lose a couple Megabugs from the older sets like Manapod Beetle and Ambush Scorpion, so this kind of gives the deck a little bit more options once rotating kicks in, so that's really cool. And lastly, the last card spoiled out of all of these, this is the 21st card I'm talking about today. It is Magmic Lism Rex. It's a fire nature, level 7, 5000 power creature, and all it does, literally all it does, is powerful attack plus 7000 and triple breaker. I believe this is the cheapest creature that has triple breaker just like literally on it. I know Dorado Golden Dragon has triple breaker if you have 5 or more shields, but that's only if you do, whereas this is just like, oh hey guys, I'm a triple breaker, deal with it. And, I mean, he's kind of weak. He's only 5,000, so once you do attack with it, he's probably going to die just by getting revenge killed. But, I mean, when you attack with it, you just can't deal with it. It's a 12,000 power triple breaker. That's kind of huge. Unfortunately, the races are not too relevant. It's Rock Brute Colossus, just like Ember Titan. But, hey, I mean, it's nice. It's a cheap triple breaker for aggressive decks, I guess. Whew, let me get a breather. I just talked about 21 cards there. Oh, God, guys. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed watching me talk about all those cards that have been previewed. I don't think I've ever done this before. I know I've talked about many cards in previous news videos, but I don't think I went through 21 in one video. I think that's a little excessive. But hey, at least I got through them all, so that's awesome. So guys, before I go, I guess I'll just ask you, out of all these 21 cards, what is your favorite out of all of them? Or maybe to reiterate my last question, which was, which is your favorite Mystic and which is your favorite Absolute spell? Well, now you can kind of answer it, since now we have all the 5, you know, Mystics and 5 Absolutes. So go ahead and post that in the comments. Let me know what you think about the set so far. I think it's probably like one of the best sets in a long time, in my opinion. I think like Clash is up there, Rise is up there, but mainly because those are core sets. This is not even a core set, and it just has so much flavor, so many really powerful cards, and it's just really awesome overall. Alright guys, this is TKC, the Kaijudo Channel, signing off. See you later guys, and have a nice day.